Good morning, guys. Welcome to the garage. Today we are going to talk about the BBR heavy shock spring for the Honda CRF125F. This is the big wheel. As you can see, it's pulled apart. This is what we're talking about today. BBR heavy spring is installed. This is the stalker that I've taken off. You can see big difference in these two springs, right? BBR spring installed, stalker. Probably just going to toss that thing in the trash. The other thing that's important about this build is what's called the shock foot. This came from, I had to order this from Diamond Minis. This is their shock foot extender, they call it. It's a little bit longer than stock. I'll tell you why that's on there and why I had to get it as we talk about this build in detail. So let's do that now, and then let's get this shock put back on and be done with this project. Hey guys, welcome back to the garage. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about the installation of the BBR heavy duty shock spring for the CRF125F. And these are the various parts that came off of it. I've taken it apart obviously, but this wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be, and I'll explain why. First of all, there's not a lot of information about taking this apart that I've seen anywhere. So it's kind of guesswork. I thought, it's going to be simple, right? Well, it challenged me for sure. And the main reason it did is because when you take this shock apart, it basically starts at the top up here and you work your way down, right? So this collar, which sits in here, all right, I don't know if you can see that okay. When you slide this on here, it stops at the top right here, and this little ring, this little clipped ring, it comes off. So the first thing you do is you take this clip off and you pop that off, and when you do that, then it allows everything to slide up, right? So when everything slides up, then you're able to start working on the bottom, okay? But because this piece is on there, you cannot get the spring over the top. It does not happen that way. Everything's got to come off the bottom. I haven't found any other way to do it, all because this piece here will not clear, right? There is no way, right? And you know, maybe you can file that down or whatever, I don't know, but you can't do too much with it, because if you change it so that it doesn't hook onto this clip, then your shock won't work again. Now this shock, if you had to replace it, it's about $400, right? And I almost thought I was going to have to do that, and I'll tell you why. When you're starting to take the stuff off the bottom, this is not the stock part that was on here, by the way. This is the bottom of the shock that hooks onto the linkage, right? And I don't know if you can see this or not, I had to cut this part off. All right, and this had to be cut off because there's these little dimples in here, and it spreads the top of it apart, because I guess they do not want you to take this thing apart. That's all I can figure. So when I screwed the stock one off, it just destroyed the threads on this part, right? So when I went to the Honda website to look for a replacement part, you cannot buy this by itself. You have to buy the whole shock. So $400, and I couldn't cut this off with that piece on there because I couldn't get a blade in there, right? So I had to crank it off. I basically wrecked the stock one, and I bought this part from Diamond Minis. Diamond Minis sells one. This is slightly longer than stock, but not very much, right? So I went ahead and bought it. The stock bolt, this is the stock bolt, fits right on there, right, that holds that on. So anyway, that kind of saved me. So this just threads right on there now, no problem, and those threads work, and you know, good to go, right? So that was a saver right there. That cost me $80 US by the time it, you know, yeah, shipping and all that, but it was better than buying a whole new shock. After cutting this part off, I had to cut this part off, and I ruined that shoe, right? So anyway, now that I've got this part I can start putting this back together. And the other thing that's important to have is a pair of spring compressors, right? These are Tusk spring compressors. These work really good. I haven't had any problem, but you need these to compress that spring. And you have to compress the spring in order to get this ring to drop down far enough that you can pop this clip off, right? You have to do that. That's the first step. So I'm going to reverse the order of this. I'm going to take this clip off. I'm going to get this piece back on there, get the spring back on there, and then just reverse the order of putting it all back together. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing that right now. Okay, so here we go. I just moved the clip up here. All right, this piece goes on next. And like I said, you know, you can't move anything over the top, right? This is how it actually is going to go together, just like this. All right, and I push that all the way up there so that I can get the next part on. This is the next part that goes on. All right, this goes in the bottom of the shock. That clears everything, no problem. All right, so that's good. Then the sleeve goes on, fits right in there. This piece goes on next, right? And then that's pretty much, you're ready to go. I'm going to put this foot on here. I'm going to thread that on. All right, so that's basically coming together right there. Now this is the part where you need the compressors, right? Because I can't get this ring in here until I compress the spring, right? So I'm going to compress the spring next, and then I'm going to pop this clip back in, and then that'll hold the top down, and then I'll tighten up the bottom. Then I'll be all done. So let's get that done next. Okay, so that clips on there now. It's in that groove. It's nice and tight in there. So I can take these spring compressors off. You can see it's kind of loose, but this thing won't come off now. All right, this top part, it's in there. So I'm going to release the pressure on this, and then I'm going to tighten up the bottom. Okay guys, so that's it. That's the fully assembled shock with the BBR heavy duty shock spring on there. You can see that. All right, everything's nice and tight. This has a little bit of adjustability on this foot. I can crank it up there a little bit. I can probably move it up or down, I don't know, maybe a 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little bit less, but you know, I can tighten that. There's some adjustability there, but that's it. That's the shock. I'm gonna put this back on the bike, and I'll have the heavy duty spring installed. But again, this little piece right here, that was the frustrating part of this whole thing, was that part. So now that I've got that taken care of, and with the help of Diamond Minis and this piece, I'm pretty happy with that. So let's get it back on the bike. All right, let's have a good look at this. The BBR spring is now installed. See it in there? Went in pretty easy. It's just 3 connection points. Now I got some of the plastic taken off. The back wheel's taken off because I'm working on putting some black rims on here. All right, but that's the installed BBR spring. And again, 3 shock points to connect to. There's one you can see right through there. Top bolt. And then you got these 2 underneath. All right, that you have to get to, but they're pretty easy. And it just drops right on out. Have a look at the other side. Yeah, the BBR seat's really nice. But back to the shock. You can have a good look at that. And it's fun, and it's all done. We're finished. So there you go. Lots more to come on this bike. Got a whole BBR exhaust system, the D3 I'm getting ready to put on here. So yeah, a lot of work left to do, but it's coming together. And if you have any questions about the BBR heavy duty shock spring, let me know. I'm also putting BBR heavy springs in the fork, so that's yet to come. A lot of work to do. But anyway, hope you guys got something out of that. Thanks for watching.